Hey Frank, I'm making this for you because I didn't really talk much about that content. So that content that you're watching, people either immediately immediately understand there's something very meaningful, important there, or they hate it with a superstitious dread. And the reason why is because in the first case, it responds to an innate sense of truth and rightness and logic, and it's like and it goes back to the racial memory of your ancestors who became conscious, and to the very beginning of becoming self-aware, like as only we humans are. um, so the truth of consciousness, there's no beginning to it, there's no end to it. It knows everything. There's nothing that can be known without consciousness. So there's no beginning in your life. You could ask yourself, when did I become conscious? There's no beginning. You can never find it. And when does consciousness stop? Never. Not even in sleep, until you're dead, and we're not even sure about that. So it's always there. It's omnipresent. It knows everything. You can't know anything without being conscious, right? If you're dead or in a coma, or right? So it knows everything, and it's always there. So what does that remind you of? On the other hand, people who have a superstitious dread of it is because the mind is fathomless, appears to be fathomless, and things arise within our emotions and our life without our control, and it can be very scary. So what people do, most people, 90% or 99% or 99.999%, what they do is avoid the content of unconscious, right? In other words, they want to keep the content unconscious. So they avoid, escape, distract themselves from, run away from, fear, replace, deny their essence, their true nature, because they're carrying around so much shit and garbage from their own life and from the life of their father and their grandfather and all their ancestors that heaped shit on their offspring. All the abuse of humanity, all the cruelty of humanity, all the brutality of humanity. We want to forget that, but we can never forget that because it's part of us. Scientists studying that behavior and experience becomes genetic code now. This is the actual fact of it. It's called epigenetics. So most of us spend our life distracting ourselves from ourselves with all this endless craving and activity and desire, distracting ourselves from our fear. So we truly don't know ourselves. That's why in all the great teaching, know thyself. So the know thyself, to go back to the self, is the actual literal goal of every spiritual path, every religion that has ever existed. The core teachings and the core meaning of that was to find the true nature of self. And some people call it God, and who cares? I don't give a what you call it. It's up to you to find it, and then you could call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. So consciousness, we could say, then, is the true self, and everything else is phenomena, just passing through this nexus that never changes, never goes away. It's always there. And so this teaching is the distilled version of that, what you watched last night.